The flash arrives before the sound, before the pain, before you even realize you are looking the wrong way. An ordinary day. You are standing on the street with your phone in hand, thinking about how you forgot to buy bread. And suddenly, the world runs out of colors. It doesn't just get bright, it turns white, flat, all the way to the horizon, and you see this whiteness even through closed eyelids. Speaking of eyelids, your blink reflex is one of the fastest movements you are capable of. 150 milliseconds. The light arrived in nanoseconds. Your eyelids lost by a landslide. And it is not their fault. They spent their whole lives training against gnats. You haven't heard anything yet. You haven't felt anything yet. Technically, nothing has actually happened to you yet. Next, your body will fail in 8 different ways. One by one, on a schedule, with intervals ranging from 1 nanosecond to 10 days. And each has its own timeline. Let's break down all 8. Not what happens to the city, others will film the city. This is about your body, your retina, your skin, your alveoli, your hemoglobin, your bone marrow, and the lining of your intestines, which, spoiler alert, is about to have the hardest week of its career. The good news, a nuclear explosion doesn't kill in just one way, but in 8. The bad news? That was the good news. People think an explosion is a single event, a bang, and that's it. In reality, it is 8 separate catastrophes that arrive at your door on a schedule, like couriers from different delivery services. The first one travels at the speed of light. The last one will arrive in a week and a half, and it is the only one you will have time to think about. It is better to treat what eventually happens to every body with a bit of humor. Otherwise, there aren't many options. We start with the delivery that arrives first. It arrives in your eyes. Your eye is the only organ specifically designed to catch light and bring it to a point. Usually, this is an incredibly useful function. Your lens takes the stream from the flash and does exactly what it always does. Neatly focuses it onto the retina. In other words, your eye acts like a magnifying glass, and your retina is the ant beneath it. The difference is the ant at least didn't pay for the glass. If you simply happen to be facing that direction, flash blindness. Your vision cuts out for a few minutes and then returns completely. With a 1 megaton explosion, this works at 20 kilometers during the day and 85 at night. It is worse at night. Your pupil is dilated and very welcoming. It has spent its whole life waiting for something truly bright, and it finally found it. If the light focused, retinal burn. Permanently. Your eye has scorched a blind spot for itself exactly where you were looking most intently. Your attention acted like a targeting system. The good news, among actual survivors, flash blindness was massive, while confirmed retinal burns were rare. The bad news, 5 minutes of blindness is nothing if you are standing still, but it is quite a lot if you are behind the wheel. You still haven't felt a thing. The heat follows, and it is already on its way. 35% of the total energy of the blast goes into heat. Not into fire, not into the wave, into pure radiation, a flash lasting about 2 seconds. Imagine a tanning lamp the size of a city, turned up to the maximum. Your skin imagines it perfectly well without any hints. These are called profile burns. Only the side of the body that was turned toward the light gets scorched. A cap saves the top of your head, the only piece of your equipment that will work as intended today. Remember this moment. Nothing else in this video will work after this. Dock fabric heats up more than light fabric, which is why victims had the patterns of their own clothes imprinted on their skin. The design of a kimono, the stripe of a belt. Fashion has finally left its mark. In a 1 megaton blast, 3rd degree burns reach out to 8 kilometers, 2nd degree to 10, and 1st degree to 11. 11. That is a distance at which you will see no destruction, no crater, no smoke. Just a sunburn from a sun that shouldn't exist. A 3rd degree burn, by the way, doesn't hurt. Your pain receptors burned away along with the skin. Your body stopped reporting the problem to you because it fired the department that handled it. Yet a 1st degree burn stings like hell. A scale that was definitely designed on a Friday evening. Now do the math yourself and see how much time you have. The shockwave travels at the speed of sound. At 5 kilometers, that is about 15 seconds. 15 seconds during which you are already burned, but still in one piece. Your body handles pressure perfectly well, provided it gets a warning. You dive 10 meters deep, you fly in an airplane, and nothing happens. The difference between diving and a shockwave is roughly the same as the difference between sitting down and sitting on a thumbtack. It is not about the force, it is about the speed. The spike happens in milliseconds, and your tissues, all having different densities, begin to move relative to one another. Your eardrums are the first to give out. 1/3 of an extra atmosphere is enough for them. Next come your lungs. The threshold is about 1 extra atmosphere, which is roughly 1.5 tons applied to your chest in a single millisecond. Your alveoli rupture, and air goes where it is never meant to be, straight into your blood vessels. You can die from air. From the very substance for which your lungs exist in the first place. For a long time, it was assumed that if the ears burst, the lungs must be mush as well. Analyzing real casualties broke that theory. You can have intact lungs with ruptured eardrums, and vice versa. Your body does not send out warnings by subscription, and that was just the front wall of the wave. Behind it comes the wind. At 1/3 of an extra atmosphere, the wind accelerates to nearly 260 kilometers per hour. At 1.5, it reaches 800. The most vicious hurricane on the planet tops out at 300. All your life, your window was just a transparent thing you used to look out into the yard. Exactly once, it will look back at you, at the speed of a bullet. And it is not alone. There is not a single object in the room around you that will remain furniture. And then, it is your turn. From a physics standpoint, your body is just an object with very poor aerodynamics. 1/5 of an extra atmosphere is enough to lift you and throw you. That is a pressure at which a house is still standing. The flight is short and almost painless. The problem is how it ends, and it ends with a wall, and the wall wins this equation. Suppose you survived. You crawl outside, and for the first few minutes, it seems the worst is over. That is a mistake of about 20 minutes. Fires start simultaneously across a vast area, ignited by the flash, by overturned stoves, by ruptured wiring. Individual fires merge into a single thing that has its own name, a firestorm. It does not behave like a fire, but like a living creature. Hot air rises in a massive column, and fresh air is sucked into its place from all sides by hurricane-force winds blowing inward. This means you cannot run away from this fire downwind. The wind blows into it. Your problem is not the flame. Your problem is what is happening to the air. The fire does not just burn off the oxygen around you, it drinks it, and you are standing in line for air behind an entire city. And instead of oxygen, carbon monoxide is being handed out in this line. This is where your biochemistry betrays you with particular elegance. Your hemoglobin binds with carbon monoxide about 200 times more readily than with oxygen. Your blood literally prefers the poison. Millions of years of evolution, and it turns out your red blood cells have catastrophic taste in relationships. You are not suffocating in the usual sense. You are breathing. Your chest works. Your lungs fill. Everything is as usual. It is just that your blood returns to the body as hungry as it arrived. That is why the basement saves you from the wave, but far from always from what comes next. And now, about the blow that passed through you in the very first second. You did not notice it. At all. Along with the light, ionizing radiation passed through you. No temperature, no smell, no sound. There is not a single receptor in your body capable of detecting this. Evolution decided that gamma radiation was not a threat worth allocating a budget for, and formally, it was right exactly until August 1945. It breaks your DNA, the instruction manual your every cell uses to build its own replacement. A cell that does not divide will notice almost nothing. A cell that is supposed to divide tomorrow will open the instructions, find that half the pages have been torn out, and die trying. The first sign is nausea, and here your body acts like a dosimeter. The sooner you vomit, the higher the dose. After several hours, bad. After 20 minutes, very bad. And then the nausea passes. You get up, eat, talk, and help clear the rubble. The symptoms have vanished, so it is logical to assume you are recovering. You are not recovering. Your body is consuming its remaining reserves. The cells that were on duty at the moment of the flash are finishing their shifts, but there is simply no one coming to replace them. It is like a final paycheck that arrived one last time, while the termination notice got stuck in your spam folder. And the most cruel irony. The length of this pause is inversely proportional to the dose. If you received a small dose, you feel fine for 2 or 3 weeks. If it was a large dose, the respite lasts only hours.
The longer you feel normal, the better your chances.
Picture the whole scene. A man in this phase walks down the street past a wall where someone else's shadow is imprinted. Light-colored stone all around and a dark silhouette where someone stood and blocked the flash. In his pocket is a watch that stopped at the exact same minute as every other clock in the city. He feels fine. He lifts a beam, helps pull out a neighbor, and keeps moving. How he feels during these days is not an indicator of health. It is a timer. Let us see what it is counting down to. At a dose of 2 to 7 gray, your bone marrow shuts down, the factory that produces every drop of your blood. The white blood cells are the first to run out. After 1.5 to 2 weeks, you are left with no immune system, and it is not some exotic infection that kills you, but the bacteria that have lived peacefully in your mouth and on your skin your entire life. They did not become more aggressive. It is just that the guards left, and they were always curious to see what was further down the hallway. Next, the platelets run out, and your blood forgets how to clot. A paper cut suddenly becomes a major event with a plot line. Biting your cheek at breakfast becomes a long-term problem. If the scenario reaches its end, it usually happens between the 10th and 30th day. And pay attention to the wording. You are killed by infection and hemorrhage. The radiation itself ended long ago. It is like a guest who smashed the front door down and left. After that, anyone who wants to can handle the rest. But there is tissue in you that regenerates even faster than bone marrow, and its deadlines are even shorter. Your intestines have worked your whole life on one honest principle. Whatever is inside the tube is not yet inside you. Between the contents and you stands a layer of cells 1 cell thick. One single layer. This is your entire defense, and it regenerates completely in a few days, the most hurried tissue in the body. Starting at approximately 6 gray, this regeneration stops. Old cells leave on schedule, but there are no new ones. And then, 3 things fail at once. First, the barrier. Everything that lived peacefully in that tube for 30 years ends up in your abdominal cavity and in your blood. Your own bacteria, those very same harmless ones. Second, absorption. The intestine exists to pull water and nutrition inside. Now it only works one way, outward. You lose fluid faster than you are physically capable of drinking. Your body turns into a bucket where someone forgot to solder the bottom shut. Third, electrolytes. Along with the water, sodium and potassium leave, the very things your heart literally runs on. You dehydrate from the inside, while remaining in a room with a full carafe on the table. At 10 gray, the whole process takes about 10 days. Your intestine held this border your entire life and never once let you down. It did not lose the fight, they just stopped sending reinforcements. 8 points. 8 different mechanisms, 8 different timelines. And now for the strange part. There is something common between them, and it is not what you are thinking. Your fastest nerve conducts a signal at a speed of 120 meters per second. Light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second. The difference is 2.5 million times. That is the whole point of this video. In none of the 8 points is the problem a matter of strength. The problem is the tempo. Your body is not a fortress. It is a conveyor belt tuned to a specific speed. Cells divide with a known frequency. Signals travel with a known delay. Tissues regenerate according to a schedule that has not changed for millions of years. Anything that happens slower than this schedule, the body digests. Anything faster, it simply fails to notice. A nuclear explosion is not stronger than you. It is faster than you. It fits entirely within those fractions of a second and those few days, for which your body has not been provided a single reaction. And here is the proof. Those who survived real explosions have been observed for 70 years, 120,000 people. Most of them never developed cancer. The overall increase in the incidence of the disease is about 10%. The average loss of life expectancy at low doses is approximately 2 months. 2 months. Because decades are the only tempo at which your body actually knows how to do anything. Yet the decision regarding its fate is made in a matter of seconds. And it is not the body that makes it. Which of the 8 points was news to you? Write the number, and be honest. Did you know even one of them before this video?